I am documenting my daily journey back to $10,000 a month in my web and automation agency. I'm currently at $0 for the month. Watch these videos every single day to follow my steps to hit your first $10,000 a month. Now you might notice my voice sounds horrible. Yes, I'm getting better. I was sick. I don't know why. My girlfriend got me sick. I don't even go outside. I don't see people. She gets me sick. It's fine. The first step, as I said in yesterday's video, if you haven't seen it, you should probably go back and watch that as I laid out like the 4 steps to growing and scaling your agency. The first step is brute force outreach. Do one consistently. Start with 10 to 20 per day minimum, consistently every single day, and then you can scale to 100 a day, 200 a day, and then once you've built your business, then you can start adding on another one. So there's a bunch of different options: cold emails, meta ads, cold calling, Upwork outreach, Loom outreach. These all work. It doesn't matter what you pick. Just pick one and go with it. So if you haven't done this yet, stop watching the video and go do brute force outreach. Doesn't matter. Pick this, pick this, pick this. I'd recommend you do this or this. Okay. Go get at least some leads in the pipeline. So anyone watching from here on out should at least have 5 leads in your pipeline. Okay, you might not have your first client, but at least have 5 leads in your pipeline, and then you can continue watching because then you're in fulfillment. Fulfillment, there's a couple steps. First step is building your SOPs, and this is essentially a procrastination step because number 2 is take client onboarding, right? You're not going to take a client onboarding without having any idea of how to actually fulfill for that client. So you're going to have some sort of SOPs and your processes documented, but you're going to take your first client, and then this would be number 2, and then you're going to be back to number 1 because number 1, you'll get punched in the face by your client, and it'll be like, holy shit, I thought I could have planned for this, but I actually couldn't. They have all these sorts of requests and problems, uniqueness that you never considered. So you have to go back and rebuild your SOPs. And then once you have that, okay, now you've got your onboarded client. What do? You hire the right people because you're not going to be able to continue this outreach and fulfill at the same time. So you need to hire people. But the question is then, it's like, well, where and who, right? So once you've hired, then you can rehire because it'll essentially be shitty people. Or maybe you hired for the wrong roles and you realize, well, I don't need a web designer and a web developer. I can just get someone who does both. And then that cuts out time, cuts out communication, doesn't make me communicate the vision twice from 2 different people and get the way that they perceive the vision from me, from my client, from me twice in 2 different ways. It's just the same person. So it's a lot easier to hire one person for that. So where do you hire people and who do you hire? Now, I was told, oh, don't use Upwork, don't use Fiverr, don't use this. Only use people that are in your personal network. That's how I found the best people. You know what? I found those to be horrible people. I've tried my own network. I've tried Discord groups, Facebook groups, school groups, because I'm in all these groups anyways, and there's people that are advertising their services in there. Problem with them is that they're all trying to start their own agency. They're all committed, not to you, but to their own business. They're all in the online business, get rich quick arena. So if they're in the same arena as you, they're going to have the same desires as you. So their self-interest is to get rich. They're passionate about getting rich. They're not passionate about web design. They're not passionate about getting a job. They're passionate about getting rich. So you need to find someone from a different pool of people, someone who's expressed interest in actually doing what it is you need them to do. Being a web designer, being a web developer, scaling Facebook ads. All of these people have done is joined a school group, or they've complained to their friend about being unemployed, and then they said yes to your request to be like, oh, you're unemployed, so-and-so knows you should come work for me. All they'd have to do is say yes. That's not a very good indication of their commitment. They're not very committed by just joining a school group, joining a Facebook group, posting, hey, I'm a website developer. That's not a very good indication. Where do you find people who express a better indication of commitment, a better indication of passion, and a better indication of, I'm going to be someone who is passionate about this and wants to work on this every single day? I'm not comparing a homeless person to your unemployed friend. However, when you offer a homeless person on the street, you say, hey man, instead of giving you $5, why don't you come work for me and I'll give you $50. It seems like a good idea in theory, but that person has expressed no commitment to wanting to make $50. They don't want to work a job. They don't want to make $50. They've expressed zero interest in that. The only interest that they've expressed is saying yes to you. That's the same way of you asking your friends. Your friends never really said that they wanted to be a web designer job, to work for someone online, to Find someone who's expressed interest in specifically doing that. And then you can pick and choose by having interviews and finding the best person that fits your personality. You're not basing it off of someone else's recommendation or someone in your family or someone in your network. This is literally how you resonate with these people. Who is obsessed with websites like you're obsessed with getting rich? Because you should not hire someone else who's obsessed with getting rich or passionate about getting rich. So once you've made the listing on Upwork and Fiverr or onlinejobs.ph to people that are open to it, not even open to it, that are literally asking you for that. Then you can have interviews with them. And then you have to narrow it down. Okay, now I have 100 people from all over the world. This is another factor. It's like you're not limited anymore to your location. Your talent pool is now the global competition. You're not dealing with, the best people in Ottawa. There's not that many good website developers in Ottawa. And if they are, they're charging X amount. So you can have the world's best for some of the world's best rates. I've found, and I'm not being racist, this is my experience. Philippines, because their English is pretty good, their cost of living is low, their average salary is low. Indonesia, Eastern Europe, specifically for me, it was Ukraine, which also feels good because it's like, okay, how can I support people in the war? Well, let me just literally make someone living in Ukraine rich by paying them 3 to 4 times the average monthly salary by sitting at home and working on their computer. Actually, this is who, and because this is where you find Filipino people, onlinejobs.ph. Now, what are the factors? Let's do another point here. Factors to consider. The amount of competition. Because I'm sure, yes, it drives people to be better, although it also gives you a fuck ton of people to filter through. So if there's a lot of competition, you have to go through hundreds of low-tier competition to find someone that you really like. Number 2, their accents. Like how easily you can understand them. Understand ability. Because this is dependent on whoever you are. If you have someone who's from Pakistan in your friend group, you might be more likely to understand that accent. So you might be more likely to hire someone from Pakistan. So understandability is dependent on who you are, your life experience. However, for me, I guess European is easier. I also went to the Philippines and Southeast Asia recently, so maybe that's why I can understand these people more easily. Internet reliability. You're only going to have the morning and the evening to work with these people. So their internet needs to be spot on. You can't have people with spotty internet. It's also horrible. I hate being on calls and it's glitching and It's just so annoying. Fourth thing, because these people are going to be, no one wants to work for less than $5 an hour for you. However, for $10 an hour, you're going to get a pretty shit website developer from Canada. But if you're, talking about Philippines, for $10 an hour, that's almost 3 times the average monthly salary in Philippines. You're going to get one of the best Filipino website developers. Indonesia, that's at least double the average salary in the Philippines. Eastern Europe, that's probably pretty close to, but that's not going to be Canada. US is like, you have to pay them $60 an hour. People will be much happier to show up for you when you make them rich. $200 an hour is $400K a year. That's 3 to 4 times the average salary in the US and Canada. If you can, think about how happy you'd go to work if you were getting paid $200K, $400K a year. That's what you're doing for these people. $400K a year in their salary because their cost of living is that low. That is a summary of what I've learned for hiring. I'm also at the stage now where I'm hiring for a personal assistant and a video editor. However, I'm implementing this thing that I've learned as well, where I said someone who can fulfill the website development and the website design, having them to be the same person. So I'm trying to find a personal assistant who can also edit my videos, because I can't give them maybe 40 hours a week of videos to edit, but I can give them 20 hours a week of personal assistant tasks and 20 hours a week of video editing tasks. And then I only need to hire one person. And just reducing complexity is extremely, extremely valuable in hiring people. Now, it might be difficult. They're two different minds. Website developers are creative. Personal assistants are tactical, math-brained. So I'll see if I can find that or not. But yeah, the rest of the video, I'm going to be completing a website. This is the client I took on when I was first building my agency. So one thing I would recommend when you're lowering your price to get a couple reviews and build your agency a little bit and troubleshoot, and essentially here is you rebuild your SOPs, is that you should limit them when you come down in price. you should also remove features. Because these ones that are going to be negotiating on price are always going to be the ones that are saying, oh, well, can you add a page for this? Can you add a page for this? Can you add 30 location pages? They're not going to respect your authority when you tell them that, well, the more pages we build for different locations reduces the impact of the pages that we do want to target. They won't respect those because they know that you came down in price. And they don't think that you're an expert anymore because you're just desperate to get a job, which you are, which you aren't an expert, which you are desperate. When you're first building your agency, but know very quickly that once you get those reviews, those clients will keep you from getting larger contracts. So put in very firmly, I will only build you 5 pages. I will only do this. If you want SEO, it has to cost more. I will only do ads for you. I will only set up automations from you once I get paid from your website. Basically, this client told me his friend paid about $7,000 for a website, and so he's given me that website as inspiration. So what I'm doing here is duplicating a website that I have in high level already, and then kind of matching that to his needs and building that to give him a $7,000 website equivalent at a price that is much lower than what I normally even charge, much lower than $3,000, because this is an older client that I took on for a couple different factors, like a review and things like that. All right, if you have any questions about anything, just shoot them in the comments down below and I will answer them on tomorrow's video. And yeah, have a good day.